Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name's Steve Woody. I'll be hosting this AMA session for Formation.Fi today. We've got the core team with us. We have Christoph, we have Joshua, Edmund, and a special guest, Ravi. They're all here in Discord. We can see the community here as well. You can actually see that if you look on the live chat. You'll be able to see people as they type. But what I want to do is just firstly thank you for being here. Obviously, crypto is a very interesting space, lots of ups and downs with the markets and with projects. And we're in a time right now where things are being developed with no real roadmap to follow, nothing to say, how did they do it before? This is all new. And so with that, we have challenges, we have some things that pop up. And the purpose of these AMA sessions is for you as a community to reach out and speak to the core team. If you've got any challenges, any thoughts, any feelings, then this is a good opportunity for you to be able to connect with them. So what we're going to do now over the next 30 to 60 minutes is I'm going to let the team introduce themselves and have a chat. Then after we've addressed 4 key points, which we're going to go through, we'll then go into an AMA, some of the questions which have been asked from the community. Once we've addressed those questions, we'll then go into a live AMA where you'll be able to come on and chat as well quickly. So without further ado, I'd like to just introduce you to Christoph, the founder of Formation.Fi. Christoph, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I could hear okay.
Hey,
Yes.
welcome. So I think a good place to start with this, and we mentioned this earlier, that there are kind of 4 parts that we want to talk about. The first point to get across is obviously the hack that happened recently. I think there's a lot of people that have been concerned about the hack, what happened, why it happened. I know we've addressed it on Telegram and Discord, but in your words, do you want to just share with the community kind of your thoughts and feelings around this last few weeks?
Yeah, that cross chain swap type hack. It was some kind of flash down. We were able to track it down. So the hack was not as massive, but obviously some funds were stolen. Most of those funds were our funds because we are the initial liquidity providers. Most likely there are also some funds that belong to some of the users. So we'll have a look at it, and if somebody lost their money, we'll try to make it up for them.
Okay.
Currently, the cross chain, it was basically that the cross chain swap was audited. So the thing is that one of the last changes of the code, I think it just didn't go through the audit, and that is why the attacker was able to basically perform this. That's what we think what basically happened, because the audit firm thinks that they did everything on their side. They haven't spotted anything that could basically create any kind of loophole. So cross-chain swap is already fixed. However, we're not gonna deploy it as of yet because we want to make sure that this time nothing bad happens to it. So again, it's going to be audited by 2 separate companies, and as soon as that audit is completed, then we're going to deploy it.
Okay.
But it's been fixed since I think a couple of days already.
Okay. So
it's just we're not going to launch it now until we have the audit done.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. And from what you're saying there, just to recap, the majority of the funds were the reward funds that were taken from the treasury, but there were some potential user funds. And if a user's funds were affected, then we'll address those on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
And then, and again, community, we need to be like, people will try and play the system because that's what some people do. So anybody that has genuine concerns that they've lost funds, then reach out in the support chat in Discord, and we'll be able to go through, verify that first, because we have to verify. As soon as it's verified, the team will then refund it, or we'll be able to compensate for any losses that have happened as a result of the hack. Not as a result of any negligence on your part or through crypto, but if it's due to the hack, then I think they're saying that they'll be able to refund that. So that's positive news. And I think that also leads us on, Christoph, to the version 3 release plan, which we mentioned in the December roadmap. On the 17th of December, we're going to open up community testing. A couple of people have
For
been
the
asking,
farm, you mean?
yes, for the version 3 farm. So some
Yeah,
people have been
yeah.
asking sort of why community testing? If we're confident, then why not just release it?
Why not? I mean,
I think we've learned our lesson, right? We want to make
know,
sure we're secure.
it's better to have massive testing. I mean, you know, cross-chain was also tested by the community, right? And
Yes.
you know, it took us a while. I remember we were testing it for like, I think it's already been 3 weeks. And yeah, so I think even, you know, even once we get passed through audit, all our projects are going to be tested by the community until official deployment.
Okay, good. So one thing that people are asking at the moment, and I think this is kind of a nice thing for people to be able to understand, is that when we talk about community testing, I think it's fair to say that the product is ready to go live at this point, but this is just some last minute tests to make sure that there's nothing unforeseen that could crop up.
Yeah, but the last minute test could take, you know, another 2 weeks, just as we know. This could also happen, right? Because, you know, if people are going to be keep on finding bugs, then we're just going to keep on, you know, fixing them, and you never know actually how long is it going to take.
Yes.
Until you find out.
Okay, awesome. So,
but yeah, that's basically the last stage prior to, you know, product release. So yeah.
So I think one thing I'd like to just ask from you is that with regards to the cross stable swap, we know that some community members had challenges with the cross stable swap due to the hacking that happened, and their funds are now kind of locked. And so, is this something that we're expecting to see with the version 3 release? That it all happens at the same time. So some people are going to be able to, if they've lost funds, they're going to be able to reach out. If their funds are locked in a cross stable swap, is this all going to happen around the same time, sort of shortly after the 17th?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, we're gonna basically, no one is gonna be, you know, left behind. So
Yeah.
whoever's funds are still locked, we're gonna unlock them, and whoever lost their funds, then we'll try to make it up for them as well, case by case.
Perfect. I think that's great, and that's all people can ask at the moment. Joshua, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, Joshua, welcome. Good to speak to you.
Thank you.
I wanted to just ask you quickly, Joshua, about the alpha release plan. A lot of people have been asking about this, and it's definitely something where people feel that until alpha is released, the coin's not really going to recover from a price perspective. And as investors, there's people that are really sort of keen to see this go live. And there's been some FUD. There's been some FUD in the marketplace, and we've addressed that. But is there anything you can share from your perspective on the alpha release plan and where we are, what's happening, how this is going? Because I know that we were expecting it and there were delays, understandably. But in terms of moving forward now, what can we look forward to? What can we see? We've seen on the roadmap that we're going to start testing at the end of this year with the community. But your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so couple of things. If you read our light paper,
Yes.
alpha is the one of four major deliverables that the team committed to. So it is not the end of the entire process, but it's the beginning. And then what our users will get is the very, let's just say, embryonic version of our ultimate vision of risk parity, which is not easy to build, by the way. This is the first time ever. If we could successfully build this, then this is very revolutionary stuff. And because of the complexity that is involved, it is taking time. Now, we began alpha sort of from design to actual construction of the whole engineering aspect more than 4 months ago, I would say. I mean, it really, the team building started 6 months ago, and Ravi, who's going to be introducing himself pretty quickly, he was the sort of the first member of our research team. And without much of a public disclosure behind the scene, the team has been working on it for, I would say, most of the past, I would say 4 to 5 months already. And a lot of those time, most of those time, I would say, were basically researching because the nature of these cross chain and then a lot of the real time waiting and then rebalancing and then how more than, let's say, I think the first version we will easily have something minimum 15 to maybe even 25 DeFi assets in the alpha portfolio alone. And then we're going to rebalance and using some very the quant based the weighting system. Long and short of it all is that it's like seeing an iceberg floating in the on the surface of the water. What you see is just a tiny tip of the iceberg. 98% of the volume of the ice is actually under the water that people can see when they're floating on the water. That is what's happening. We have been building, but it is not just publicly disclosable simply because it's just a lot of backend stuff. It's just a lot of hardcore engineering stuff. And then the engineering stuff that we're talking about is not just the pure coding, but it's dealing with the basic blockchain infrastructure issues. Like when you move one asset from Ethereum to BSC and back and forth and go through the bridge, which is highly centralized. And then when you try to rebalance everything across, let's say, 25 different assets at the same time, all these gas fees and timing issues and the actual calculation issues and timing of the display to the users versus what really goes on in the back end. These are all real engineering challenges. So I would say, like, we're dealing with not just a DeFi problem, we're dealing with a lot of crypto kind of native, very sort of low level problems. Have we found solutions to a lot of our problems? We have. I think what you will be seeing is the early expression of our efforts. Internally, we have already begun testing, but because of there's so much going on and off chain, and when you are dealing with a lot of math formulas on the off chain side, and testing can take time, and especially like recent hackings, these were a very significant moment for our team. I mean, we are a young team. We got together because of the idea and then what formation stood for, and we're going through real growing pain. And what that means is that we're going through typical startup problems, and they're working remote. Developers not constantly connected to one another. The scope changes, technical challenges, all that stuff going happening all at the same time. So the delay, I believe, in the short run, is inevitable. I mean, it's just like my previous experience when I was building games. I never met deadlines because when you are in it and start building, you just want to perfect it more and more, and that last 2% it just consumes like sometimes 60% of your entire capital just to reach that perfection. We're kind of in that mode right now. So I'm not going to say that we're going to be perfect. We're trying really hard, but the recent exploits really slow us down significantly because our internal consensus is that let's not rush. Let's take the time to do the right thing.
Hmm.
And even understanding what that right thing can take time. So that is where we are. So as we stated, we should be able to show the very, very early version to our community testers so that we could improve it. And then once that process is gone, and then after V3 is released, then I think we should be able to launch alpha sometime after, and then really see the early version of what this thing could be.
Well, and on that
So
note, Joshua, on that note, you were kind enough to send me a link earlier to see Alpha. And if it's okay, do you mind me just showing the community just a quick, the screenshot so they can see Alpha? Because I think this has been a lot of the challenges. People are like, where is this Alpha product? And you're absolutely right. Like 90% of the mass is underwater and they don't see it. Not underwater as in drowning, but like an iceberg, using that metaphor. And so 90% of the work that's going on, people don't see that. And I think for now, like if I was just to, guys, let's see if this works. If I click my fingers and due to technology, hopefully doing its job, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you should now be able to see on the left-hand side, V1 Alpha. And this is not a screenshot. This is, look, if I click on this, look, V1 Alpha. Like the team are working so hard to be able to put this together. And I appreciate that a lot of the community don't see this, but like Josh is saying, like Christoph is saying, this is a work in progress and it's something that's never been done before. You know, once this is live, this will be revolutionary to the whole crypto industry. And Alpha is just one of 4 products that they're launching as a part of the entire Formation.Fi ecosystem. And not just that, we've got the stable swap, you've got the farms and the pools as well. There's so much that goes above and beyond what we currently see. And so I really wanted people to be able to see this, to get a kind of just so they can see, because I think there's been so much FUD and so much stuff going on recently that it's just quite nice to be able to stop that and say, well, do you know what? Actually, look, the team are working really hard and this is coming together in the background. It's just taking a bit longer than that was first expected.
Exactly. And then I just want to say one more thing about Alpha, because I think as I read through some of the comments by our community members, there is a bit of a misconception about what this Alpha is. And that is somehow this Alpha has this risk parity component built into that. And that is absolutely not true. Alpha is really designed for its own namesake. It is going for the moon. So we have designed the system in such a way that these assets are based on large caps on the index side, but they are very volatile. And then if you get to catch them on the upswing of the market, then it's just gonna really go high. So we are going to capture that upside because it's a highly risky, more volatile, but that's what it is. But it doesn't have that intrinsic risk parity component, because that risk parity will not happen until the 4th product. We call that parity. And that would be probably the most technically challenging, the engineering product that we're going to be releasing. And that's not probably going to happen until for quite some time later. But this Alpha, as you will see, it just makes your life much easier. From one chain, you get 2 chain coverage, and it has an index as well as vault, not just one, but across more than 24 different assets. And this number of assets could change, by the way. So let's say you put 5K and then you want to forget about it for the next 6 months, and you want that nice kind of aggregated performance from across 2 different assets on the index side as well as vault. This is the product. So that's way it has been designed.
Perfect. And I think that makes sense. And just to recap, so Alpha is one part that will go alongside beta and gamma, and then together the 3 of those will form the 4th part, which is the parity.
Correct.
So we need all 3 of those live before parity, which then the product will be considered fully live.
Fully live, but even that parity will likely to evolve.
Yes.
So the one that we will be releasing is an Alpha V1. Yes. But as we release, we already know that severe limitations that this thing has. So we're going to be immediately working on V2 of Alpha. And then same process will repeat on beta, gamma, and parity. So there's a lot of development, there's a lot of maintenance, there's a lot of evolution that's going to occur. So this is why, by the way, guys, I mean, all the team that are part of Formation.Fi, we are locked up. Our coins are locked for 4 years. There's a 4-year vesting period. So when we wrote our light paper, we knew that this is going to be a journey, and we are not sort of these guys who's going to rock pool, because it doesn't make any economic sense, because our tokens are locked up for 4 years. So we have to think long term. Quite frankly, from my point of view, I don't really care about daily token price, because it doesn't affect my net worth for Formation.Fi, because I have to execute what we set out to do over the next at least 2.5 years. So when people talk about the rug pull, I don't understand. I mean, like, if you study our token economics in detail, our vesting schedule for the team and advisors are kind of insane even at the time. So I want you to know that.
And I think that's important, because there has been some talk, and we'll cover that when we go through the questions later.
Yes.
But Joshua, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Sure.
Guys, moving on, I just want to introduce, because we did mention in the roadmap there was a special announcement. So for those of you that are just joining us or that haven't seen any of the announcements, these AMAs will now be every single month, on the second Tuesday of every single month at 8 p.m. UTC. So you can put it in your diary. This will be a reoccurring event. And the special announcement today is that on every AMA, we will introduce a new member of the team, a new member of the platform. And today, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Ravi. So Ravi has held pioneering roles in the financial services industry, setting strategies for multi-billion-dollar divisions, and he's growing multi-million-dollar products. He has a PhD dissertation from the City University of Hong Kong, is about uncertainty and unintended consequences. His research focuses on optimization and decision making. He has an MBA and engineering degrees from New York University and the National Institute of Technology, Calcutta. So I'd like to all, please, as a community, and in the chat, please, in the chat, can we get a welcome Ravi in the chat, please? Our new head of quantitative research. Ravi, are you there?
Hi, Steve.
Hey, hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very good.
Good. Welcome to Formation.Fi and to the community. Do you want to introduce yourself? Hopefully, I've done you good service there by introducing you. But if you want to say hello.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. That was a fine introduction. And to the community, I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time zone you might be in, but no good night. And, if I start going too much into research, it might sound like good night. It can get really deep. So, I'll try to keep it brief. But I just want to say that, so when I used to work in the financial industry, people would ask me what I do for a living. And I would say I work with models. And then they would ask me, what sort of models you work with? And I would say I work with exotic models. But unfortunately, my models, exotic models, they're very simple compared to the models that most of us think about. And also the models that I work with, they have names like alpha, beta, gamma, parity, and so on. And that's probably not what people, that's not the kind of models that people are interested in, perhaps. But I can tell you, it's a lot of fun, and we are doing great things behind the scenes to make parity and to give the best risk and return profile for our investors and the community. So that's what I would want to say. And back to Steve. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you. What time zone are you in, Ravi? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'm in Singapore.
Singapore. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you for
time.
being here, because I imagine it's extremely early for you right now.
It is, yeah, but I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Ravi. He's on part of the team, and what better peace of mind to have that you've got such a well-known research and not just a crypto expert or a YouTube expert. This is somebody who's actually been through and studied from an academic point of view to have all of the qualifications to bring to the table. And I see a question there, Steve, are you part of the Formation.Fi project? I'm an investor. I'm not actually part of the team. I'm an investor. I'm here to bridge the gap between the team and the community so that the team can focus on what they need to do. and the community can focus on what they need to do. I'm just here to bridge the gap between the two and to help make this a smoother process. And the reason, just so that you know, the only reason I'm showing my face right now is there's a limit on Discord. If the team all showed their face right now, only 25 of you would be able to join this channel. It was a limit in Discord that we found last minute. We'll resolve this for the next one. But that's why I'm on a screen share. My webcam is showing because it is on my computer and I'm using OBS to stream this. But if the team connected their video, then we would actually lose a lot of people in this AMA. And it's more important that you're here live than the team showing their face right now. But they're all on social media. You can research. You can do your own research, which you should do anyway. Your own due diligence, and you can find the team. They are available online. So what I'd like to do, just moving forward, is I have a few questions, and I'd like to open this up to the whole team. Whoever actually wants to answer can. So Christoph, Josh, and Ravi, if you want to answer, you're welcome to. Let me just bring the questions up, and we'll go through the first one. So I've picked up some, and these are all questions that were asked by the community. They're actually in the AMA questions. So anybody that wanted to was able to post questions. So the first one that I'd like to ask is, setbacks and delays affect the price. Do you have any plans as a team to delay the token unlock or to burn coins to compensate for this?
We were thinking about it, and I think among our team, I was the first one to raise this kind of concern, because I also had the idea that maybe we should delay token release, especially for our investors. And so yes, we are deep looking into it, but I cannot comment on that, because basically if we decide to do so, then it's going to be our investors who's going to be affected, and they should know about it first.
Of course.
So the short answer is yes, we're looking into that.
Okay, so it's on your awareness and you're looking into it, and I think that's a fair answer.
And I just want to add one comment about burning tokens, because after we release alpha, by the way, we have a very aggressive profit sharing program. That means any alpha token holder, after staking their money, if there is a profit, then certain percentage of the profit will be paid off to all the stakers, and then the sum of the profit will be used to burn Form token in the circulation. So that is just part of our the token economics. So it is going to happen as we become profitable. So I just want people to know that this deflationary mechanism is built into our system already.
Nice. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate that. Question number 2. And sorry, I don't have the names as who have answered who has asked these questions. But if you go into the AMA questions above, you'll be able to see. When the team, okay, let me just get this right. Okay, so when does the team intend to fix the bugs related to cross-chain swap, and are our funds safe? When can we look to withdraw them? Now, I know we briefly touched on this, but just to reiterate that point, some people that have got their funds locked at the moment because of the hack, what are we looking at for timescale for access to those funds?
For access, well, I mean, when it comes to the farm, as soon as we deploy farm v3, you're basically going to be able to use your LP tokens that you're still stuck with, because farm v2, I don't believe it has any funds that are locked. Every user was able to unwind their position. So
but they're just
when it
holding
comes to
Formation USD, is that correct?
Yeah, they're just holding the LP tokens.
Okay. So community, if you're holding Formation USD and you're asking what is this, that is your LP token. It's the combination of the two coins that you added to the LP, and it's safe. And am I right in saying they'll be able to deploy that into V3?
Yes.
Perfect.
That's the reason why we're building V3, so people could still
and we don't want them to do
create
it in V2
LP tokens and use their
compromised.
previous LP tokens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And benefit from the rewards.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so community, we are looking at the 17th of December for community testing. And as soon as that's finished, the V3 farm should go live. So not that long to wait now. Question number
cross-chain
3.
swap again it's already fixed. We're just waiting for to re-audit the whole thing again.
Okay, so there we go. So it's fixed. It's done. It's being audited. There's community testing on the 17th, and then it's going live. So that's the time frame for that. In case you were wondering. Question number 3: will Form become a DAO down the road?
Of course we will. And I think we already introduced the concept of progressive DAO. We are building it for you guys. So, and we are taking our community comments very seriously. And I would love, I'm a fan of DAO myself. It's just at this stage we cannot open up as a DAO completely, because some certain things they just have to be centralized at the moment for the time being, for just to release the products. And then later, as we move on, then we're going to progressively transition into fully operating DAO, where community will be able to vote on different on basically everything, managing treasury to deploying new strategies into our products and everything.
Nice.
In between, that goes into the role of owners of the entire protocol.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that through many different protocols, that there has to be an element of centralization, especially whilst you're in the building phase.
There has to be. And just give you a recent example, like what happened to Sushi during the past few days. This is basically the they were DAO since the very beginning, and I know they attracted a lot of fans. I was one of the fans of Sushi. We even talked to Orex Maki, one of the leading guy. But what happened there is basically lack of some centralization, and then people are starting forming different groups that are trying to take over whatever. So we are taking certain measurements to make sure that as we transition into DAO, it's going to be fully with basically no harm to the protocol itself. And
I think that makes sense, and I appreciate your feedback on that. Next question is: can you give us a transparent feedback on alpha audit status? How much critical, major, medium findings? How much has already been resolved? How much has been done? And is it being done by Certic? And is there going to be a public announcement once it's ready?
The quick answer is yes. There will be information about this the result. Now that is so. Certic definitely be our the smart contract audit partner, no doubt. But we kind of have to be realistic about what we're dealing with here, because I mean, how many protocols have we seen that has a logo of, let's say, Halborn or Certic or many other very respectable audit organizations, their seal of approval, but still get hacked? Why is that? And so our big concern is, it goes beyond those kind of standard audit protocol per se, because really the smart hackers out there, they could go in between. And we've seen that with our recent hack that happened to us. And there's a layer where it was a bit of an oversight on our part. Maybe it comes with the inexperience. But the other part was a highly sophisticated flash loan based, and then they really went deep into understanding our architecture between the farming pools and then the swap, and then how the price information was being conveyed. They were sniffing it, and then they linked that to the flash loan mechanism, and that's how they exploited the whole thing. And it's not an average hacker. So, that's the concern that we have. So, my ask to the community is that never trust those seal of approval by those audit firms, because it's not a guarantee. And second of all, whatever that we do, this thing comes with a high degree of risks. So that just me being very transparent about it. Are we taking the process to do the right thing? Yes, we are. Probably way more than maybe we should in the interest of time. But at this point, I as a founder, I'm willing to sacrifice time to get things right, and then put it under, a cover that is much more protective and safer for our community. So that's the mindset that we bring to the whole process. So from my point of view, I care a little less about what goes to kind of communicated to the community. In the end, we as the builder, we have to eat our own decisions. It's very, very tough thing to do. So we have to feel comfortable and we have to do the right thing. It's not about marketing. It's not about transparent or opaque. We just want to get it done right. And what does it take to get it right? It just takes a lot of work and a lot of concentration. And
And a lot
so
of time.
so that's what we are going through.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense. And I think when you're looking at, there's always a diagram that I remember seeing in the web design world that said you can have something done fast, you can have it done well, or you can have it done cheap, but you can only have 2 of 3. You can't have all
That's
3
right.
of them. And I think this is one of those trade-offs where, yes, people want it yesterday, but that's a crypto mindset where people just want to deposit money and get rich, when Moon, when Lambo. That's the meme culture of these pump and dumps. And this is not that. This is not a pump and dump. This is not one of those, just put your money in and you'll be rich tomorrow. This is something that takes time. And it's meant to remove, the whole point of risk parity is it's meant to remove some of the risk in the traditional crypto space, because crypto is volatile and it's unregulated. And so there's always going to be risk. And what the team at Formation are doing is saying, look, here is a proven model that has worked in another industry, and we're going to bring that to the crypto space to allow you a proven model that we know works to apply that to your own loved coins, whatever they may be, whatever added to the platform. And so, yes, I think, Joshua, you've said that right. And as an investor and part of the community, I echo your statement. I would much rather there be a delay knowing that my funds are safe, because there's no point risking something to get it out quicker and I make loads of money and it gets stolen or there's a problem. Like, it has to be done right. And there has to be that trade-off between making sure things are done right and making sure things are done fast. And yes, we do want to see it, but we want to see it done right. And look, for any of you that are into gaming and were around, we saw that with Cyberpunk. How much pressure were they under from the community to release that product? And when they did, how many bugs were there? And it died on its sword, so to speak. And I don't want Formation to go down that route. And so I'm actually relieved when you say that, because as much as you have expressed to me how important the community is, the product is more important than the community right now. And I agree with you on that, because I think that's important. And from your perspective, I think you have to be thinking like that. The next question here says, I'm just going to read it out, but we don't need to answer it. Why is there community testing period for the version-free farm? And why not just release it, given that the exploit was fixed? We've already mentioned that it's just a test for any last-minute bugs. We don't believe that the community testing is going to be a long testing protocol. It's going to be done quite quickly and efficiently, but it's there just to double-check, because there's a saying, measure twice, cut once, and we want to make sure we get it absolutely right. And the team have already said this, that they're going above and beyond. They're doing more than they need to, but they're doing it in the interest of making sure that everything's done right. So the next question is, will there be incentives for the version-free farm? Given that it will most likely release more than in a month's time, so there's going to be like more than 1 month of no rewards farming for the version 2 now. Is there going to be anything, or is that just one of those things the community has to just understand is part of the process? Christoph, did you want to answer that? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think I just didn't get the last part.
No, that's okay. So people are saying that in version 2, because the farm's been turned off, they're not actually farming rewards. Is anything going to happen as a result of that, or is that just something the community needs to deal with and understand that these things happen? They're basically asking what's going to happen as a result of them not being able to farm rewards at the moment.
Yeah, we'll consider that. It's not like we have already decided whether we're gonna make our APR a little bit more attractive, but we'll consider this.
Okay, I think that's fair enough. So there you go, community. It's something that will be looked at. There's no guarantee, yes or no. There's no answer to that right now, but it's something that is on their radar and they will consider. So somebody asked in the community, and I wanted to address this. Can you tell us if many of the investors, like GD10 and Moonwow, Lotus Capital, for example, have they withdrawn their investments? And if so, who has stayed with you?
Okay, I could answer that because I spoke to every one of them except GD10. I don't know who they are actually. I could be wrong, but the all the investors who came through our seed and private round, they are locked up for 1 full year. They do have a daily vesting, but they cannot withdraw their capital out of their vesting app because that is just not technically possible. So there's zero chance that these investors can rug pull. That would be technically impossible, and then that would be breach of the investment contract. So that's that. So I mean and that applies to the team, advisors, our system in terms of controlling the supply side of the token economics, where we constricted the circulating supply to the point where initially, our token price was much higher because there just wasn't that many tokens. Now there's a lot more tokens out there, but not all of them, because there's still more than half of them, they're locked up, and it will be released slowly, but it's a day by day. It's not all at once.
Okay, so that makes sense. So everyone is in a vesting period. Contracts are locked up for 1 year. There's no chance of people to rug pull because they can't withdraw their funds. It's just not possible to do that. So that makes sense. Last question. And then, by the way, community, if you want to ask a question, please, in the AMA live chat, make yourself known. If you want to ask a question, we can bring you in to ask live. We're going to be wrapping up shortly. We're almost done. But the last question from the community at the moment is, I know this is a very early question, but around when can we expect to see the debit card launch? Is it likely to be before summer of 2022, or are we talking about more into 2023?
I could answer that. So it's not so much of the question of time, but whether it makes sense economically. So when we designed this crypto debit card backed by DeFi assets, the idea was that, let's say you put 10K, and then over 6 months period, that 10K yielded 35% profit. But because of the way DeFi works, you can't just take only the profit out. Or doing so will create all kinds of issues, gas fees and difficulties of executing and all that stuff. So people usually kind of put it in there. So our idea was, to the extent of the profit that they generated, we come up with a certain collateral ratio, maybe down to 40%. So the 40% of the profit that is embedded into their staking can be spent through the debit card. Idea is fantastic, but basic assumption, or the basic driver of that to happen, is you need to have a profit. And if there's no profit, then it doesn't make sense. So I consider this as more of a community evolutionary decision. And I think that it, we could bring, some of these, the debit card service providers. We could even use a gift card. It doesn't even have to be, debit card. And there are ways to do this. We look into it. We are already in conversations with some of them. They all have certain requirements, certain capital asset requirements. I think even if I promise you that it will be done by summer, that would be a lie, because we could only do that when our TVL is sufficiently large to justify a certain percentage of the profit as a whole can be used as a collateral to allow this type of debit card spending. So if we grow to be $1 billion TVL in the next 6 to 9 months, we could get this thing done fairly quickly. And then some of the top the stakers should be able to receive a debit card, because it's not. I mean, there's a lot of work involved, but it's not impossible. It's really how fast we can grow as in terms of our community asset. That's really the main driver.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that's a good answer to the question, because you need to understand, if you're going to do this, is it the right thing to do? And as you said, whilst TVL needs to be extended, it may not be that that's the best answer at the moment, and so we need to wait and see. So maybe something we can revisit next year to see.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next AMA or the one after that, we can have a look and we can see where we stand with that once we've got some of these initial things out of the way. But yeah, good to know that we're moving forward in that direction. All right, so guys, almost finished. Just the last few minutes, and I've asked the community, and they've started to send messages now. So if we can just answer, and they're popping up in the chat, by the way, you can see them underneath. This chat that you're seeing, by the way, is the AMA live chat. So if you're typing in the AMA live chat, it is showing up underneath my video. And just to answer some of these questions, Randy Moss said, will there be an Immunify bug bounty? So for those of you that don't know, Immunify is where white hat hackers can go to find problems in a platform. They can then relay those problems back to the founders for a reward or a bounty. Is that something that you'll consider at Formation.Fi, to reward white hatters for helping you to find any potential bugs or problems?
Yeah, most definitely we're gonna do it. We've been considering that since the very beginning.
Okay, good.
And I've done it before in a previous project, and it worked very well. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. So Randy Moss, to answer your question, yes, that is something that will come out in the future. Okay, so I'm not going to ask questions like when is it going to be profitable, because we all know that these things take time. Can you confirm that the reward for early adopters is still a case, and the reward itself, when might it be available? Is it after alpha, or is there going to be some delay for those that were part of the early adopter scheme?
Obviously, all our early adopters will get rewarded according to the tier and multiply, and it's going to happen around the same time as alpha launches. I'm not going to give you the exact date, but yes, it's basically part of alpha.
Part of alpha. So once alpha goes live, we can expect to see those rewards. And also, community, if you remember back to those initial Medium posts, and you can go and read them on the blog, the early adopter rewards is only for the alpha protocol. So once beta comes out, the early adopters, they won't be applied to beta. It's only for the alpha pool. So it is going to be tied into the alpha release. I'm not going to ask a question about receiving trust back from investors, because I don't believe they lost that. Well, I will actually ask you, team. Do you believe that you, and this is just a question to ask, do you believe you've lost any trust from your investors? It's a bit of a hard question to answer, I appreciate, but given everything that's happened, how do you feel like investor trust sits with you right now?
No, we haven't. We're in touch with our, major investors, like, Banker Synthetics, Kinetic, all those biggest funds. We're actively working with them, so I don't think we have lost any trust. And a lot of projects have been actually, their token price went down even as low as whatever 0, and then until the product was released, it was just flat. So the investors, they're here for the long term. They're not for the early token speculation thing. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And just to address the questions there, the white hat, we've just addressed that question, which was the Randy Moss question. So that when you're saying that somebody was blown, we have to be careful with language here, chat. When you say somebody reached out and they were blown off, it may be not that they were blown off. It may just be either miscommunication, or there was a lot going on, or it was not communicated properly, or it was not seen. And also, you have to understand, and I've seen this because I get this as well. So I'm talking from my own experience. I'm not part of the team, and I still get this. The amount of noise that comes into my inbox from people trying to shill or promote or sell me something to do with a project, it's difficult sometimes to know who's genuine and who's not. And the team don't have time to sit and validate every single inquiry. So it might be that someone does get overlooked, and it's not done intentionally. Okay, it's always easy in hindsight to look back and say, oh, we should have done this and we should have done that. But you have to understand that the team are busy building and dealing with things. And we talked about this before. A lot of it's not seen. So questions like this, like why is this or why did this happen? These things happen. It's no fault. It's not done on purpose. It's not done intentionally. The team are just very busy, and it's not easy to sift through the noise, which is why I'm here. This is my job now, is to make sure that I do filter that noise so that the team only get what they need and they can focus on what they need to do. And it seems to be working well so far. So we'll continue as long as the team's happy for me to do it and I've got the availability. We'll continue to do this. So one more question here says, Alpha seems to be a matter of 4 to 6 weeks away. How does it look in terms of a team schedule for other options like Beta and Gamma? Like, do we have a ballpark of a time frame for? Is it going to be easier to launch Beta once Alpha's done because you've already got that kind of framework, or is it a case of back to the drawing board and starting again? Do we expect the same sort of time as Alpha? Maybe possibly a little bit less? Do we have any ideas of that, team?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The quick answer is for beta, it'll be significantly less amount of time required to engineer that. Alpha was just a bear. I mean, it was a huge undertaking, and also it was our first attempt. So we made a lot of kind of conceptual sort of iterations to get to where we are. More like compromise, because we had very high expectation of what the cross-chain bridge performance would be. And once we understood how these things work, we realized that, oh my gosh, it's just not what we thought it was. So it was just dealing with a lot of our own the learning. Beta would be much shorter. Gamma will have a unique sort of element that's gonna require pretty decent amount of, if not high amount of innovation. And then parity is, if we get it right, then it's revolutionary. And just so you know, like, I'll be the first one to put money in because I really wanted this, wanted to see this happening. So the what we are, and please don't sort of kind of take this as some kind of something that is etched on stone, where it's a immovable kind of statement. But we think that, or I cautiously hope that we could still meet the deadline of releasing parity by the end of second quarter of 2022. So if we do that, then technically in all four, the products as a bundle, pretty much kind of released to the community, according to our stated roadmap. I will not be able to guarantee it, but that would be my very sort of kind of secret hope. We still have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and we have some great team with the big brains and huge sort of academic credentials. So we are doing what we can, but there is a fighting chance that we still may be able to get stuff done according to the original roadmap.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think on behalf of the community, and by the way, community, can you give us your thoughts and feedback in the AMA live chat? Has this been useful? Have you enjoyed it? Has it been valuable to you? You're welcome to say thank you to the team whilst they're here, and they're reading the messages right now so they can see them. I'd be grateful if you could do that so that we can start to see some sort of communication. I know the chat's been quiet for this first AMA, but I can see you all here. There's loads of you here watching. So on behalf of myself and the community, I'd like to say thank you for coming on board and also for acknowledging some of the previous challenges with communication and being willing to do this, to move forward. I think it's been missing, and it's very well received, and I think we're seeing that right now in the chat. We're seeing, thanks team, it was good, it works well, it's been spot on, really nice, run very well, loving the format. So yeah, some good feedback there. So any last words, team, before we close this off?
Yeah, closing remark is I'd like to personally thank you, Steve, because you're doing an amazing job, and this is basically the part that we've been missing. So heads up to that.
You're welcome. And Josh, any last words?
No, the same thing, Steve. You have been a huge help. So we really thank you for your contribution here. And I just want to say, thank you for your efforts to. I know it's not easy in crypto, but there's a lot of second guessing. There's a lot of name calling. There's a lot of FUDs and what have you. The and At some point, we all have to kind of trust that we're dealing with the good humans with the ultimately good intention. At least from my point of view, that's what I bring to the table. I mean, I get frustrated. I don't, I'm upset at a lot of things about what's happening with many things in my life. But risk parity has been a big passion. So whether this is right or wrong thing to do, it kind of doesn't matter to me. I'll get it done somehow. So I kind of bring that determination. Um, I just wanted to thank all of you or any of you who have that sort of sort of desire to give us some little bit of break. And I also understand that I am involved in other project, and it's a Synesis One and Mind AI. It's something that I studied 4 years ago, and a lot of people think that I somehow transition into focusing on that and then at the expense of Formation.Fi. Uh, that wasn't an option for me. That's not how I operate. I just want the community to understand that the intention that I bring to the table. So thank you.
Oh, I think they appreciate that, and thank you for your transparency. People forget that you started that like 4 years ago. So it's it's one of those things. So and Ravi, I know you're still here as well. Thank you ever so much. I don't know if you have any closing remarks or anything you'd like to add. You're welcome
Yeah,
to.
thank you, Steve. Wonderful moderation. And the only thing I want to say is this. Look, there are 4 products coming, right? Alpha, beta, gamma, and parity. But alpha itself, which is going to go live, and Josh has mentioned all the dates and so on. But I want the community to understand that alpha itself is a major trendsetter in the crypto space. There is nothing like this. Right now, if somebody wants to put their money into 25 assets or 15 assets across 2 networks, and then we are going to be constantly rebalancing. And rebalancing, what it is that it is generating profit. We buy low and sell high. See, finances looks very complicated, but there is only one simple way to make a profit, which is buy when it is cheap and sell when it is high. And that's what our algorithms and our rebalancing and our weights, that's what it's going to be doing. And alpha is going to start doing that right away. And then we're going to innovate and bring some enhancements to that, which is what beta, gamma, and parity will be. And as Josh said, there's some complexities there. But alpha itself, is a product that's going to really, I think, be very revolutionary. And I want the community to remember that. And that's really all I have to say. Yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, then, on behalf of the community and everyone else, the team, and myself, and Fitzy for moderating, and for all of the Telegram, and let's just bear this in mind, please. The Telegram moderators, the admin, the people that are involved in the community who are here bridging that gap for you, give them some love, give them some support. They're doing this because they want this to be successful. So if you're not having the right answer or the right day, don't take it out on them. Please, we're in this together. Too many people invest in crypto because they want the gains and they forget about the protocol and the product. This is brand new technology that is changing the world. Okay, and we are at the very start of this, and you're not going to get a better time or a better price than right now to get involved. So look, do your research. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Hopefully there'll be many more to come. So team, thank you ever so much for your time. I know you're all busy. I very much appreciate you being here. Look forward to doing this next month. Community, thank you for showing up and for being positive. And until next time, we'll speak to you soon. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.